Hi everybody, this is Gayle. Welcome to my channel tonight. It is Christmas season. I cannot believe it. It's just, wow. Okay, I'm getting overwhelmed just thinking about that, so I'm going to go on. We've got some people already in the chat, and I noticed that Peter Parker had left a comment, but we have a Women's Station channel here. So hi, Lori, and we have Valerie Reese. How are you doing, Valerie? Valerie's one of our regulars. She just had surgery. And I'm hoping that it's going well with the recovery. Let me pull this back over here. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I scooted that a little bit too far. And let me move this. Okay. So are we all gearing up for Christmas? Hopefully in a big way. Hopefully in a good way. Tonight we're going to be talking about how to survive holiday travel, or how to survive holiday travel with your sanity intact. I know that for some of us, it's a little questionable at any time whether or not we would have our sanity intact, but we're talking about holiday travel. So, yeah. Peter Parker had a birthday. So, happy birthday, Peter Parker. Okay, Valerie is resting in her recliner. She says that she'll have an updated video out tomorrow. So, we will look for that. So, yeah. So, all right. So, happy birthday to Peter. Val, happy healing. And Lori, it's just good to see you. So, all right. So, holiday travel. Wow. It is expected to be a really, really, really big deal this year. So, how big of a big deal? You have to expect bigger crowds and bigger prices this year because, according to AAA, more than 109 million people will be traveling 50 miles or more from home this holiday season. Now we're talking about between December 23rd and January 2. So that is a lot of people to be on the road, but it's only 92% of what it was pre-pandemic. So we're not quite there yet, but the challenges really are coming in when you combine the number of people on the roads, those who are traveling and flying. There's actually predicted to be a huge surge in flying too. 6 million people are expected to travel by air, and about 3 million are looking at buses, trains like Amtrak, or cruises. So huge number, 109 million people in all, 6 million traveling by air, 3 million taking other transportation arrangements. So bigger crowds, bigger prices, but we're combining all those people with the fact that more and more places are operating with fewer employees. So a lot, as you know, if you're talking about going into a restaurant, some restaurants are having trouble getting servers. Some gas stations are having trouble getting help. So we've got to balance all these juggles out. So how are we going to survive it? How are we going to survive it? So going into the chat, what I'm looking for is any comments or suggestions that you all may have that might help somebody else. I know Valerie, she says she's not going to be leaving her house this year because she just had surgery. Peter Parker, who's celebrating a birthday, says late 40s. He's old. You are not old. Late 40s is a cool age. That is not old age. And there we are. So, all right. So I've got a list of, and I want to tell you, the Hopper travel app says that more than half of Americans planned to travel for one or both holidays this year. So Thanksgiving or Christmas or both. So yeah, more than half of the Americans. That's a lot of people. Have you ever heard the term it's people-y? Well, when we travel, it's going to be pretty people-y out there. Harbor also says that 54 million passengers are expected to leave from U.S. airports for Christmas and New Year's holiday period between the 18th of December and the 3rd of January. And it says there's 20% more travelers than last year. And actually, as far as the number of people flying, we're beyond pre-pandemic levels. We're 4% more than it was in 2019. How's that? How's that crazy? John Off-Grid Garage says Golden Corral, LOL. Yay! That is our favorite restaurant. We got together there when we got to meet up several years ago. So before I got transferred away. So that was fun. That was fun. Women's Station Channel says, oh yes, Val, I hope you're healing well. And Women's Station Channel, she likes my thing. So thank you. She says it looks cute. And she's going to see her son Jesse for cheeseburgers. So there you go. Stellar Piper is now in the house. So hello, Stellar Piper. Woo! And Valerie says she thinks anytime you travel, you need to have patience with everyone. Other drivers, flight crews, other passengers, etc. Yes, you do. Especially this year. So be patient in all things from staff to delivery drivers. It really is going to make a difference. So it's really hard though. So just take a deep breath, blow it out, walk away if you need to, and then come back. But try to find a way just to stay patient, because when you've got this many people who are traveling, whether you're on the road or in the airport or in a restaurant or picking up a rental car or doing shopping, something is going to go wrong at some point in your journey. And you just kind of have to acknowledge that. Life is not perfect. It's fun and we can have a great time traveling, but occasionally something will go wrong. So you have to be patient. Also, this kind of numbers, when we're talking about having 109 plus million people traveling, it also means that you really need to plan ahead and allow extra time for everything. So I'm not flying this season, but if I was, the airlines suggest that you get to the airport. They want you there 2 hours in advance. During super busy travel periods, that 2 hours is not enough. So you're going to want to allow 2.5, maybe 3 hours, depending on what airport you're using. It could be necessary that you may want to add even a little extra time beyond 3 hours. So you've got to look at the number of people who are traveling combined with how busy your airport often is. If you're flying out of like O'Hare or JFK or LaGuardia, those are very, very busy places. They are used to handling lots and lots of people, but this is, anytime you have holidays, it's a surge. So you may want to allow, 3 hours or a little more to get to be at the airport. If you have extra time, it's not bad. You can walk around a little bit or just sit there and catch your breath. But obviously nobody wants to run late. So allow extra time for that. If you are going to a restaurant and you have made reservations, allow extra time for that too. Just across the board, allow extra time for everything. And if you do that, it really lowers your stress level because you've got a cushion built into all of your travel arrangements. And that cushion will get you through, okay? So it'll help you be more patient. All right. And let's see, we have been joined by Candy, the We Service Dog. So hi, Candy. She actually helped me come up with this show title today. So appreciate that. I really do. So, all right, there's some just general things that you can do on surviving the holiday travel experience that will just help make it better. And some of these general things, they go along with whether you are on a road trip or whether you're flying. And road trip can be across town to grandma's or across the continent. It doesn't have to be a big road trip to be stressful. There are some general things that will help you get through that. And one of the first things that you want to do, in addition to allowing extra time, is to stay hydrated. Now, I know that sounds weird. It's like, okay, I'm reminding you to drink water. But yes, I am. So bring one of your reusable water bottles. We've probably all got these laying around our house somewhere. If you don't, Dollar Tree can set you up. So bring one of your refillable water bottles with a really good lid on it and fill that sucker up. Stay hydrated, because what happens is when you don't stay hydrated, you start feeling twitchy, you start getting a headache, you just don't feel good. And when you don't feel good, that makes everything worse. So you can cut some of the stress off at the pass by staying hydrated. Similarly, snacks. Bring some snacks with you. But when you pack, think about what you're packing. So I like to say, bring a snack that you can eat standing up, because you may be eating it while you're in line at the airport. You may be eating it while you're standing there at a rest area, while you've stopped in the car for a few minutes and you want to get out, you want to walk, stretch your legs. Bring something you can eat standing up. Of course, don't bring chocolate. We all love chocolate, but this is not a time to bring chocolate because it gets everywhere. So save your chocolate for your destination. But think about things like, a more quality snack as far as protein goes. So maybe some peanut butter crackers or some cheese and crackers, trail mix, just something like that. One of the big things that you want to do is you want to avoid caffeine, which just about killed me. I will say that when I found out on my last road trip that caffeine can actually be dehydrating. Isn't that awful? Because caffeine is in so many wonderful things like chocolate and Coke and Diet Coke and tea and coffee, but have to avoid caffeine. The other thing that I read earlier, which makes sense, is that caffeine can make you extra jittery, and you don't necessarily want to be jittery if you're going into a high stress situation. You want to be nice and calm, kind of zen. So yeah, avoid the caffeine. So let's see what we got going on in the chat. Okay, also, Stellar Piper is saying, also, if you're prone to low blood sugar, pack something good for that. So yes, and you may even want to add like a juice box with your cheese and crackers or peanut butter crackers, something that'll bring up your blood sugar and while the protein kind of levels it off. Milk boxes are sometimes good. Just little things like that you can eat quickly and standing up. Okay, now Women's Station Channel is saying that she likes those mini smoothie packs. She says they're squeezable. They have them at Safeway. She can't believe how much they helped out. Sunflower seeds and raisins too. Good idea. And she's saying that milk is great. Yeah. And those you can get boxes of shelf-stable milk. A few different companies make them. I think Honest Kids is one. And you can throw that in your bag to have with something. So really the higher quality snack. And also when you're traveling, this snack may be your lunch because you may not have time to eat lunch. So, so think accordingly when you're packing for a snack, just a little bag of chips. It's better than nothing, but it may not get you as far as like peanut butter and crackers, or if you make half a sandwich and milk, something like that. And what else do we need now? This time of year, where we are in the world, I shouldn't even say this time of year. Bring hand sanitizer. Big deal there. Y'all know that. Bring a towel. That has served me in good stead. I cannot tell you how many times. I like to have something I didn't bring in here. I should have. I'll post a photo over in our Facebook group in a little bit. But one thing I like to take with me as far as a towel is these little individually wrapped discs. I get them off of Amazon. I love them, but they're small. They're individually wrapped. They're about the size of a of a mint, like a peppermint or something like that. But you unwrap them, you stick them under the faucet, they expand, so you just wring them out, and you've got a towel there. Super helpful, super helpful. You can use them for spills. You can use them just to wipe something off. You can use them to clean glasses with. Put a little, if you don't have that, get a little Ziploc bag and just fold a couple of paper towels and put them in the Ziploc bag. If you're flying, you may need an extra napkin, and they may only have one that they give you, and you may have needed 2 or 3 if you spill your drink. So you're covered if you have that in your pocket. So do that. Okay, Stellar Piper is saying that her husband thought they were mints at first. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Let me see if I can bring up. I meant to bring them inside. I left them out in the van last time I was traveling in the van. Let me see if I can pull up what they look like. I really do like these. They're small and compressed. Let's see. They are a little bit expensive. I found it. Let me pull it up. Just green. Curve tab. Move on. Here you go. So this is what I like. They're a compressed magic towel, napkin, coin tissue, disposable, just add water. That's all you do to these. Unwrap it, and then literally just stick it under the faucet for a second, and it expands. You can wring almost all of the water out of it, so it's just slightly damp, and then use it to pick up spills or whatever, and toss them in your pocket, and you're good to go. I love these things. Last purchased, you can see that there. Yeah, I like them. It is $9.89 now. Okay, so the price has dropped a little. But for 100 of them. But I travel a lot, so for me, they're worth it. If you don't travel a lot and you want some of those, then you may want to go in halvesies with a friend and split the cost and split the bag, something like that. But yeah, if you don't get those, just put paper towel in a Ziploc baggie, throw it in your bag. Okay. Let's see. Take that off. But yeah, I can see why he thought they were mints. Something else to help you survive the holiday travel is to download the latest updates for your travel apps on your phone. You don't want to be stuck out needing the information. Whoops, my flashlight is on. How did that happen? Okay, sorry about that, y'all. But you don't want to be out trying to download information to find out where your flight is or where you're going, and then get this note saying the latest update is required. So before you head out the door, just take a minute and download all of your latest updates for your travel app. Trust me on that one. And this next thing, those of us who are Generation X will automatically think of this. Those of you who are younger, Generation Z, the millennials, you guys may not think about this. I know that you use your smartphones a lot. We all do. But when you're taking a trip during the Christmas season, holidays, when it's really, really packed, it can be hugely helpful to print out. Make yourself a document. Print out your itinerary, your confirmation numbers. If you talk to someone at a hotel, for example, jot that down into the document and print it out. That way you have everything at your fingertips. Now you're thinking, okay, Gayle, you're crazy. Wi-Fi is everywhere, and I get that. But the thing is, with all these travelers, Wi-Fi systems can get overloaded. It can take forever to download a document. You all know how this goes. You've been there at one time or another. The systems get packed, it slows, and that can be for, phone, just general phone service or Wi-Fi. So print it out. especially if you are flying and you've got like flight related information, boarding passes, so forth. Print it, print it, print it. And I don't care if you have to print it and then work it down to a little 3x5 size card to stick in your bag. When you need that information, you'll be really glad you took that extra step. Let's see. Okay, Valerie's saying it's a good idea. Oh, and Candy's also saying that baby wipes are great, and they are. They are. She's from the hippie yuppie generation. Yay, that rocks. And Valerie is saying she always carries paper documents. Yeah, I think that's something that we overlook a lot now because we think, oh, well, you know, we've got our phones and phones are great for as long as you can get the information off of them. And sometimes when you're traveling, you can't. So making a document with, you know, with all of that information. And when you make it, you also want to include not just your confirmation numbers and your contact names at the hotels and stuff, but the name and address of each hotel wherever you are staying, whether it's a hotel or an Airbnb, anything like that. Go ahead, put that on the document and print it out. The other advantage about printing it out is, let's say you're doing airline travel. You go to a city, you've got somebody who maybe isn't the greatest at speaking English, or if they are good at speaking English, if y'all be like me and you have this southern accent that comes out really sometimes pretty thick when I get tired, the person, if the person that's picking you up in a taxi cab, if there's any kind of communication problem or anything, you can point to that address that you've printed out, and he or she will figure it out from there. So include that, okay? Also, electronics are wonderful, but when you're traveling and you want to survive and minimize that holiday stress, bring a book or a word search, Sudoku, whatever you like to do, and a pen. Don't rely on your phone and don't rely on your Kindle 100%, okay? Because batteries go down, Wi-Fi, as you know, goes down, cell phone service goes down, it can get choked up. But if you bring a book or a word search, then you'll have something to do while you're whiling away your time, either in the car or at the airport. Also, in that same vein, this Gen Z, young millennials, listen up. There is this thing called cash. Maybe you're not that familiar with it because you don't ever use cash, but bring some. Because if you're going to try to survive holiday travel, it's essential to have a few dollars. And we are talking literal dollars here. Fives and tens and 20s and hundreds are great, but go ahead and bring in a couple of dollars that you can throw in that vending machine in case you need some kind of soda, water, earbuds, something like that, because you still want your credit cards, you still want your debit cards, but take cash out, because during this busy travel season, everything gets congested and credit card companies can get overloaded and credit card systems can go down for a few minutes. And usually if it's going to go down, it's going to be while you're standing there posed with your card in hand, hovering over the tap spot on those little card readers, right? Is that not when it's going to happen? And you'll be tapping away. So bring a few bucks in cash to have that. Okay, Stellar Piper is saying, also bring a portable charger for your phone. Yes. Bring that. Bring the USB cord, as well as your charger, and you'll be in good stead. Now, if you don't have these, I know a lot of people are using the wireless chargers now, but go ahead and get a cord and a plug. Stick that in your backpack or bag. you can get these. Now, you don't have to spend a fortune if you don't have these. You can go to the Dollar Tree, and usually they'll have something there that you can use. Even if it's a low-power charger, low power is still better than no power. And, of course, those battery banks are great. Just know that they can take up extra space is really the big thing with them. And even at some point, those are going to go down. So, yeah, good point. Good point. Bringing portable charger for your phone. Charger and cord. There you go. And, all right, now, during the holiday season, one of the things that we all do is we give gifts during the holiday season. This means that a lot of us will be traveling with gifts to give. So a couple of things to keep in mind that will just help you reduce the stress during holiday travel is to pack the gifts well. And I'm not just talking about, putting padding around the gifts, but think about how you're actually packaging it. You can take an item and put this nice soft bubble wrap all around it and throw it in a holiday gift bag. And then what's going to happen? You're going to be worried about the status of the holiday gift bag and how smashed it's getting in there and how's the bag going to look when you get it there and things like that. So, kind of think about how you're packing items. You may want to put them in a box and use old-fashioned wrapping paper, or you might want to pack gift bags and tissue wrap in a suitcase if you're going through the airport, and then, repack everything later when you get to your location. Also, ribbons pack better than bows. So try to use a lot of curling ribbon and so forth, and leave the bows, either pack them separately or, just don't bring them, just because they get knocked around. Gift tags on your packages. Use the stick-on gift tags. Don't even try to use the ones that you tie on, because the stickers will work better as far as staying on. Use a permanent marker when you put names on those. Don't just use a ballpoint pen. You want something that's going to stay on, that you're going to be able to read well when you get to your destination. So think about things like that. When you bring the gifts, put them in a plastic bag, like a big black plastic bag that's kind of heavy. That will protect them from any kind of spills or anything happening in the car, and just help keep them safe. A good sturdy plastic tote or a good sturdy cardboard box, a reusable tote bag that's pretty sturdy, things like that. Don't make the mistake like a dear friend of mine did, and I'm not going to call her out, but it wasn't me and it was not a family member. But she put all of her gifts, she spent a lot of time wrapping her gifts, but she mostly used gift bags. So what happened was she thought that just putting the gift bags on the back seat for her cross-country trip was going to be the best thing ever. And the thing is, they didn't arrive that well. She said that they slid, they got knocked on top of each other. She put her purse down on top of them at one point, things like that. So take a few extra minutes and kind of do some pre-planning on how you're going to pack any gifts that you might have. Just makes life easier when you get there, and it's one thing that you don't have to worry about. So anything fragile, delicate items, put them inside a sturdy cardboard box with lots of padding. And on any gift bag, make sure you tape or staple the tops of the gift bags closed. And that is to keep everything in the bags. Because you hit your brakes, deer runs out in front of you, hit your brakes, bags slide off, go upside down, and you've got stuff everywhere. So take those closed, okay? Yep. All right. See, dressing. Be comfortable when you travel. You know, we're not in the days used to, like when I was a kid flying, we kind of dress up a little bit to fly, and everybody did. It wasn't just me. So, but now we're kind of out of that. So, dress to be comfortable. Think about any dress codes that may be going on. Don't completely throw everything out of the window, you know, especially if you're flying, they want all body parts covered. But be comfortable. You know, wear your elastic pants, wear your soft jeans, your soft knit tops, but dress in layers, okay? Don't feel like you have to dress up. You can dress nicely, but do dress to be comfortable. Consider the weather. So dressing in layers generally is best because you can always take a layer off, but you can't add it, you know? So, but similar to the weather, bring gloves and bring hand warmers if you're going to be outside. So this is not something you have to worry about too much while you're traveling on a road trip, except when you're pumping gas and so forth. But people who are on buses, bus stops may not be inside where it's warm and enclosed. And for any of that situation, you're going to want to have your hand warmers or have your thick, heavy gloves. Trust me, I've been there. There's nothing like being out in 30-degree weather, standing there in the snow, waiting for the bus to pick you up. We did that quite a bit with Megabus, and it got miserable. So hand warmers, definitely. Okay. And of course, you know, right now, money is tight for everyone. And can you all believe this? Okay, I wanted to find out what the average nightly rate is for a hotel stay. And I just about died. Just about died. Okay, Candy, Candy the Wee Service Dog says she has, which is Laurel, she has to take Candy out. Everyone stay warm and enjoy the rest of your weekend. You too. Thank you. Give her a hug for me. Or Candy being Laurel's service dog there. So, yeah. So, all right, you all. Let's just take a guess. Let's just play around with this a little bit. Average nightly rate for a hotel stay over the holiday period. This is per Hopper. Hopper is an app. It's a travel app. Would you say that it is more or less than $175? Just type that in. We're just gonna guess. What do you all think? More or less than 125? Okay, Valerie is saying 200. Valerie says 200. What else do you all think? Because this just flabbergasted me. I gotta say, I was not prepared at all. At all. Valerie's saying 200. So more or less than 175 is the question. Okay, now let me go this route with it. Would you say it is more or less than $230? I'll go 230. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and tell you what Hopper said. Y'all ready? Hold on to your hats on this one. Okay. According to Hopper, the travel app, the average nightly rate for a hotel stay over the Christmas holiday is currently $218 per night, increasing to an average of $230 per night the following week after Christmas. So from after Christmas through the first of the year, $230 a night. It's like, holy cow, you all. I mean, really. Plus tax. Plus tax. in some places, the tax rate on the hotels can be extremely high because we're all used to states and localities having a sales tax. But in the travel industry, you also often have hotel occupancy tax and so forth above the sales tax. So like in portions of Tennessee, the tax rate on a hotel room can be 13% or more. So you add that onto your hotel night and you're looking at some serious cash. But the thing is, when you're looking for hotels, you want to look for the best value, and that's not always the least expensive. Of course, you want to ask about, any discounts that you're eligible for, whether it's, AAA, AARP, your seniors rate, Costco, Sam's, government, whatever you got going for you, ask. But look at the whole total value of what you're booking, because some hotel rooms, I tell you, Beverly is here. Hi, Beverly. She says to get John to book your rooms. Her son is brilliant at booking. I will tell you that. He is great. But it can be important, too, if you don't have him, to look at the total value, especially if you're a family. Because let's say you are booking a room, and let's say your room is, say, $200. But you keep looking and you find a room that's at $240. Well, you're automatically going to want to hit the buy button on that $200 night room, right? But back up just a minute. Look and see what that $240 room might have going for you. Some rooms, some hotel chains offer a breakfast that goes beyond the regular hotel breakfast. For example, Embassy Suites, they do this hot breakfast that they cook to order while you're standing there, but they still have like some of your traditional hotel foods out on a buffet and yogurts and so forth. So if you've got a family, especially, it may be worth it to pay that extra $10 more a person to have a better breakfast so you don't have to spend as much on for lunch. Also, most hotels will let you take something back to your room with you or take something for later. Always ask, okay, don't just assume. Always ask. But like I remember a mom at Walt Disney World who went over and got a little peanut butter and got bread, and she made her kids peanut butter sandwiches at Walt Disney World for like $1 each with the peanut butter and the bread, and she had that to the parks that she could give them. Hotels often also have that, as well as yogurts, apples, applesauce, things like that you can stick in your pocket. Hey, Pet and Chick is in. Hi, Pet. So, think about that total value. Also, Embassy Suites also often has a manager's reception in the afternoon. They're not the only ones that do it. I'm just picking on them. So if you were looking at the value and you've got kids and you know that you can get them all the snacks they want at a manager's reception in the evening, and you think you're going to be at the hotel, and you think that they would benefit more from a free hot breakfast, or I shouldn't say free, from a hot breakfast that's included in your room type, and you don't have to spend as much money on lunch, then sometimes that $240 room really is a better value. So look at all of that when you go to book your rooms. It reduces your stress when you have a plan, and helps make things a little more enjoyable. If you've got kids and you want to dunk them in the pool and it's going to be time when they're going to be hungry, then you can always say, hey, let's take advantage of all these free snacks or free sodas or whatever the hotel has for kids, and then go get in the pool. And it kind of helps make it more fun for them. What do you think, Stellar Piper? So think about that. Good options there. Okay, so for road trips, okay, surviving road trips can be interesting any time of year, but especially during the holidays. One of the reasons why is because if you're on a road trip, then most people take advantage of rest areas and places to stop. You can't always rely on that though when you're on a rest area, because if it's snowing, your kids may not want to run as much, or you may not want to take advantage of that little hiking trail. So you kind of have to play that by ear just a little bit. But on a road trip, you do want to look for the best prices on gas. I've started using the Upside app. I love it, but that gives you a rebate. But there's also, apps like Gas Buddy out there. Google Maps has the feature where you can look at gas stations and compare those prices. So, look for those, look for the best deals. Pay attention to what kind of gift card options there are right now. Because if there's a restaurant that you usually go to and you're probably, what restaurants you're used to using. So let's say, for example, Texas Roadhouse has a deal where you get $10 in gift cards for every like $50 that you buy. And I don't know, I'm just throwing numbers out there. Then go ahead and buy that gift card if you know you're going to use it at some point. And then you get the extra $10 and you can use them both, So think about that, because the more you can plan on ahead of time, it really helps. It goes a long way to help surviving that road trip. Pet and Chick says they love road trips here in Canada. It can be a blast in the winter. I can just imagine. I had so much fun in Alaska in February a couple of years ago. I can just imagine wow. I can imagine that. That'd be so cool. So, and also for road trips, bring sandwiches, or at least bring snacks. That way, if you are stuck out and there is bad weather and the road is closed for any reason, at least you've got something that you can stay hydrated with. So, bring sandwiches or at least snacks. And again, you want something a little kind of high quality. And even though it's counterintuitive, I know, because the more what goes in comes out. So the more you drink, the more you got to go. But stay hydrated. That's really important even on a road trip or flying, because the air inside the vehicles just kind of, it dehydrates you quicker. It pulls it out of you, especially flights. We're used to thinking about that, but not so much on a road trip. But the thing is that the car, the heater, and the air and stuff in the car also helps dehydrate you. So stay hydrated. Use your water bottles. Use your Starbucks cup. Little hint for you at Starbucks, okay? Take your cup, take your own tea bag, they'll give you hot water. So if you're in an airport and you're going to need something to drink, take your own tea bag, take your Starbucks cup and say, look, I'm a Starbucks customer. May I have some hot water? But yeah, not a problem there. They'll usually just point you to it. Also, we were talking about technology and these wonderful handheld computers that we have called smartphones. When you are traveling and you are on a road trip, download your maps, print some out, okay? Don't fully rely on GPS. Coverage varies widely. We have found out, I use Verizon, which is, Straight Talk is on Verizon towers. It is wonderful in my part of the country. But when I drive out west and I'm in New Mexico, Arizona, and whatnot, it does not have the best coverage. So even though I was on the interstate, there were times where I had no cell phone service. And when you do that and you're needing to find someplace and you don't have cell phone service, it makes for a really bad moment. So in addition to your GPS, get you some maps. At least print it out and take a paper copy wherever you're going. So let's see. Valerie says if you want to travel someplace warmer, she has a spare room. Yay! She's offering that specifically to Pet and Chick. Oh, gosh. We had hoped to see the northern lights, but it snowed. It was pretty amazing, though, in the snow. I will say that. Okay, and let me just, I want to go to this. Pet and Chick is saying that gas in Canada is about $9 per gallon. All right. Let us not in the U.S. complain, okay? Let's just not complain. It's tough sometimes. I know going out, I had a heart attack this past summer going out to Kansas. I paid $5.35 a gallon, but that's nothing like what they're paying in Canada, nor is it like anything they're going to pay in Canada. We really are kind of going on a tangent here, but we really are more fortunate than we think about. Just going to say that. And Valerie's right. It is expensive, but yeah. But all things in perspective. You know, part of the reason that you travel is to experience different places and different things. And if you're going to go to Canada, you know, that's their reality is something that we get to experience only for a little while. Same thing when people come here. Our reality is something they get to experience for a little while. So having said that, it brings me to one of the other bullet points that I have, and that is check prices and exchange rates if you're going to be traveling out of the country at all, because you may be surprised. And when you check the prices, pull up a city that you're going to. Like, let's say you're going to Edmonton, or you're going to go to, well, I don't know, Regina, Dawson Creek, whatever. Pull up something that you're familiar with. You know, pull up the Walmart and check out their prices, and then check the exchange rate. Because the more you plan, the more stress you lose because you're better prepared. So check those prices, check them for gas, check them for food. You can check the menus for the restaurants. They don't always have prices, but take a look at it anyway. That applies. Now the restaurant thing, I'm going to say that applies to the U.S. as well. Check those before you go, because I'm just going to toss out a recent thing that I had happen when I was in New Mexico. And I'm from Tennessee, living in Virginia here, and our McDonald's is not the same as the McDonald's out in New Mexico. Some things are, but I promise you, the McDonald's here in Southwest Virginia does not have a green chili cheeseburger on the menu. Promise you, it is not here. When I went out to New Mexico, I pulled up and I was just going to order a cheeseburger. And they're like, okay. And they read it back to me, and they're like, they read it back to me, blah, 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 chili cheeseburger. And I was like, what? My chili is brown with beans in it. It is not this green sauce. So check things like that before you go if you're going to a new area. So let's see. Valerie says chocolate and wine are a necessity. Some road trips, that's for sure. And Pet is saying warming blanket. Okay, gotcha. This is survival gear for a road trip. So if you're going to Canada, and really, you know, he's saying Canada, but if you're going like north to the Canadian border, you know, you're starting talking about like North Dakota or Montana, so forth, you know, think of Maine, certainly Vermont. Start thinking about things like this too, by the way. So good, really good points on that, Pit. Find them on survival sites like Patriot. Absolutely. Amazon can help. You can type in survival gear for Amazon and see what comes up. Women's Station Channel says, that's wild. I love McDonald's. I haven't been there for so long. They're different depending on where you are. So, yeah. And that's one of the things that, you know, you've got to plan ahead. Also, when you're looking at how to survive a road trip, get your car checked out before you go. Do that safety check. And if you don't know how to do a safety check, then go to a mechanic and somebody who does. Check your air pressure in your tires. Make sure that your tires have good tread. Check the fluid levels on everything. Check your transmission fluid, check your oil, check your wiper fluid, check all of that. Have your oil changed if it needs it, or if you think it might need it. Have your tires rotated if you need it. I know it's an extra step, and I know that some people don't like doing that, but we do this before I start out on every road trip. It was on the advice of my next door neighbor several years ago who started just doing it. He was an ASE certified mechanic, and he's like, hey, don't ever hit the road without going through these things. And we're like, we don't, but he really hammered it. You know, something can happen on a road trip. I mean, you saw my experiences going to New Mexico. I mean, things can happen. Try to ward them off as much as possible by planning ahead. That way, when you're driving and you're on the road trip, you don't have to constantly be worried about things like tire pressure and tread wear and so forth. You can just relax and have an easier time. So get the check done before you leave. It makes life, it just gives you peace of mind for traveling. Also, I will tell you, if you have a AAA membership, don't let it lapse before you go on your road trip. Because not only does that really help for cases of towing, but a lot of people don't realize, and I'll make sure everybody knows, your AAA membership most often comes with some sort of trip interruption insurance. That comes into play to help cover your hotel room, food, and extra costs associated with a breakdown. It does not cover the breakdown itself, but it does help cover those other things. So check that too before you go. And let's see, Val is saying she just got an inspection. Oil change, 2 new tires for around $800. She wants her car safe for her March trip to New York. She'll be flying to India from New York. So, yeah. And those kinds of expenses hurt, but you have more assurance now, and so it's one worry. You don't have to worry about it. So, yeah. And I'm sure you'll have it rechecked again before you leave. So there you go. So a couple of things too about surviving travel at the airport. Just really, really quick. I know we try to keep this to an hour, so I don't want to go over. But a few things that you really need to be aware of when you're traveling is, we already talked about allowing extra time. Now, if you're being dropped off at the airport and you're not having to like park and walk in and take the trolleys and so forth, then bless you. But allow extra time for parking too. So if you have to be at the airport 2 hours ahead of time, depending on the airport, you might want to add an extra hour to that just to get through the airport, and allow even extra time for parking, okay? Because with 109 million travelers, 6 million people are trying to fly, it's gonna get crowded. So put in that extra on the cushion to allow for parking and getting into the airport. Also, I know we have some people here who have disabilities. Before you leave home, get your TSA disability notification card printed out. Also, they have a program, passenger support specialist, TSA Cares. I do have that link down in the description box. They have a YouTube video on that program. So do take a minute and watch that if you have a disability. And, you know, when you're flying, the TSA program specialists, I think, are just little angels because they are just amazing. And if you're flying, that gives you some peace of mind. But it's not just like, you don't have to have just a leg problem. It's anything that can cause you to get confused, or anything that can cause the check line to be held up. So if you've got language barriers, you can contact them for a translator. If you get confused, like me, I've got a head injury. If you've got a head injury, you've got problems walking, if you're in a wheelchair or whatever, arrange all of that ahead of time. Your airlines have people that can help, but the TSA also does, and they're different. So like the TSA helps with TSA and your airline's going to help with airline. So contact both because it really helps. But also, if you're going to fly, don't wear clothes with metal buttons. If you've got a lot of extra metal on your clothes, it's going to set off the metal detector. So just don't. Also, you don't have to carry liquids. And there's a rule like the 3-1-1 rule where you're throwing things into the plastic Ziploc bag. But you also don't have to worry about that at all if you don't take liquids. So, for example, you can take tooth powder to brush your teeth with instead of toothpaste. You can take a shower bar and a soap bar instead of taking, the gels and whatnot. And that helps you just zip right through. So that really helps. But a lot of people don't think about like the metal in their clothes and buttons, extra zippers, things like that. I mean, if you're the type of person that wears those kinds of clothes, just think about that before you get there. Okay. And as far as the flight itself, one of my favorite travel accessories is a scarf. I use it on road trips. I use it when I'm flying. I cannot recommend it highly enough. But a scarf, like the one I've got draped around my neck right now. Whoops. Women, you're going to love this. You've got, take a big scarf. Let me back up and see. The bigger, the better on a scarf. Because you can take this, and this scarf, double, can be used for a little lightweight cover on the airplane. So just use it as a blanket and kind of, cover up with it. You can wad it up if you don't want to do a pillow, one of those inflatable pillows. You can scrunch this up and use it. And then when you land, or when your car stops and it's time to get out, just put it back on. I'm knocking my hat off. Be careful about your reindeer antlers if you're wearing them. And there you go. So it doesn't, there's just a lot of uses for a scarf. Depending on how you tie it, you can actually tie your scarf and make it into another little bag, but that's probably a different video. So those ideas will help you survive holiday travel. But really the big things, and you can bring a face mask, earplugs, things like that, which really are very helpful. But really the big thing is do your homework. Try to get the best deal possible so you can stretch that budget as far as you can, because just like time, the more of a cushion that you have, the less stressed you're going to be. And plan for something to go wrong. It is probably going to. Something will go wrong. So if you can plan for it and make a plan on how you're going to handle different problems if they go wrong, I'm not saying be paranoid. I'm just saying, have a plan. If you get to a restaurant and you got a 2-hour wait instead of a 1-hour wait and you're really hungry, get that juice pack out of your backpack. So basic things like that. Yeah. And also, one of the best travel tips in the world that I could pass on to you is take you a little first aid kit and put a blister pack of Aleve, Benadryl, and so forth in. Like, you can get these little tiny first aid kits at Dollar Tree. So pack a little Benadryl and so forth in it, because when you don't feel good on a trip, you've got a headache, your feet hurt or whatever, that just makes everybody miserable. So those little things can really help. So allow extra time and plan. And those are the great ways to survive a holiday road trip. So thank you all for hanging out tonight. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. I am not sure yet. I'm trying to decide. I'm going to post something in the group about whether we're going to meet next week or not. I've already had two people say that they're not going to be here because it's Christmas Eve. And then I had another person ask me to continue doing the live stream, but do it late at night. So I don't know yet what I'm going to do. So look for that announcement. It'll be in the community tab here on YouTube and over in the group. I'm probably going to take a poll in the group. So if I don't see you before then, everyone have a great Christmas, and I will see you all next time. Take care. Good night.